Impact Wrestling, over the years, in its many forms, had its many triumphs and many failures. Heck, one could say that their failures overshadowed their triumphs. And that's a shame because I've been a fan of this company since 2004, when I first saw AJ Styles versus Jeff Jarrett for the NWA World Championship thanks to Comcast Video On Demand. I saw that in many more matches and I was hooked on the company, as I felt that was a nice alternative for its bigger counterpart in WWE. And for many years, I was a diehard fan until the wrestlers I cared about left, the booking and storylines were dumber than the last, and the backstage drama that a Miss Dixie Carter was causing, yeah, I backed away from Impact for a while. But that was then. Now in this crazy year that is 2020, Impact Wrestling is looking once again to have another fresh start. And why, you may ask? Well, I'll get to that later into the show. But for now, let's take a look at Impact Wrestling's Slammiversary 2020. Cue the theme song. The show opens up with a video package talking about the recent signings Impact Wrestling made with the tag team known as the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. And also says there's a former Impact World Champion that will be at Slammiversary as well. Then we follow a mysterious man with a hoodie on. Who is this man? Well, we'll find out who that person is later. But for now, it is time for the show as Slammiversary take place at Nashville, Tennessee at Skyway Studios on July 18th, 2020 with no one there because of the Rona. Anyway, the first matchup is an open challenge match as the Rascals, Dez and Wentz, take on the returning Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. Yeah, I was shocked by this return, as I thought it was going to be the Good Brothers, but no, it's the Motor City Machine Guns. And yeah, there are some audio issues. In fact, there's going to be a lot of production issues throughout the show.
Goes about 6'2".
Yeah, check this out.
Face.
Watch this replay here.
Night! The mark on Dreamer's
Dreamer
face
goes to...
But that's part and parcel for an Impact Wrestling pay-per-view these days. Back to the match. While I had some hiccups in the beginning, both teams carried on as they had some great chemistry with each other. The action was fast-paced and exciting as Motor City Machine Guns pick up the win with the Dirt Bomb. A very fun opening match as I give it an 8 out of 10. A great way to open the show. Next up is Tommy Dreamer versus Moose for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in an old school match. Now you may be wondering, why is Moose holding the defunct TNA World title? Well, in his mind, since he beat some TNA legends who were past world champs in TNA, he should be the TNA World Champion, even though Rhino and Ken Shamrock never held the TNA World Championship. But hey, in Moose's mind, he is the TNA World Champion. Anyway, let's get into the match, and it sucks. Both Dreamer and Moose try here, but at the end of the day, these men have no chemistry with each other, and the action, even with the weapons, are just not enough to make this match anything but a chore to watch. As Moose wins, I give this match a 4 out of 10, and it is my worst match of the night. Next up is the Knockout Battle Royal for the #1 contendership of the Knockouts Championship. And other than Johnny Bravo getting involved, not once but twice, I didn't really care for this match. It was better than the last one, but that's not saying much, as Kylie Ray picks up the victory. I give this match a 6 out of 10. Next up, a Heath Slater segment with audio issues.
Slammiversary. They promised you surprises. Well, surprise! Rascals!
And then we'll hit Raju comes out and gets laid out by Slater and the segment ends. wins. Next up is the X Division Championship match as the #1 contender Chris Bay takes on the champion Willie Mack. This is just part of the show where it gets back on track, as Bay and Mack have a fun and exciting X Division Championship match, as both men have great chemistry with each other. The action was on point, as Chris Bay wins and becomes the new X Division champion. I give this match an 8 out of 10. Next up is the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Championship match as Sami Callihan teams up with Ken Shamrock to take on Ethan Page and Josh Alexander, the North. This was a decent tag title match, as Ken shows he still has some left in the tank, and Callihan was a good partner for him, as both teams had some decent chemistry with each other, and there were times I thought Shamrock and Callihan might pick up the victory. But in the end, the North showed why they're one of the best tag teams in Impact Wrestling today by picking up the victory and retaining their championships, as I give this match a 7 out of 10. Afterwards, you had Motor City Machine Guns come out to challenge them for the tag belts, and yes, that match was greatness. After that, you have a Rich Strong segment saying that when he is 100% healthy, he wants the winner of the Impact World Championship match later on tonight. Moving on, it is time for the Knockouts Women's Championship match as Deanna Perazzo takes on the champion, Jordynne Grace. And this was one of the best women's matches I've seen all year. Great action, great pacing, great chemistry. And you know what? This is one of the main reasons why I hate wrestling in this climate, as this needed a crowd to really make this match even more special, as both Jordynne and Perazzo deserve a standing ovation of that match, as Deanna wins by making Grace quit to become the new Knockouts champion. I love this match. I give it a 10 out of 10. Great stuff. And now it's time for the main event. But first,
time for backstory.
You see, earlier this year, Impact Wrestling held a pay-per-view called Hard to Kill. Yes, that was its name, and it didn't have Steve Seagal whatsoever, so that pretty much made the show at least 2 times more watchable than Seagal's latest movie. Anyway, Tessa Blanchard won the Impact World Championship, becoming the first woman ever to do so, even though there were allegations of her bullying other women wrestlers and using racial slurs and spitting on another woman wrestler, Black Rose, in a stint in Japan a while back. While she has denied these allegations and moved on, then the Rona hit and she couldn't defend the world title due to being in Mexico with her fiancé, Miguel Olivo, also known as Daga. So with that, a tournament was announced on the May 5th edition of Impact Wrestling to decide who will be the new world champion. So after many weeks, a winner was eventually crowned, and that winner was Ace Austin. Now you would think after winning the 8-man tournament, Ace Austin would be crowned the new world champion, since the current one cannot defend her championship. But like a certain British wrestler would put it, he has some bad news coming, as Michael Elgin and Eddie Edwards come to the ring to seek a claim to the Impact World Championship, even though Ace Austin has more of a claim because he beat everybody in the 8-man tournament, even though he took out Trey to have him replaced by one of his friends, maybe because it was easier to beat, so Ace Austin beat him, so he's the #1 contender, so there it is. But Scott D'Amore doesn't like that, so he made a huge match for Slammiversary, as it will be Tessa Blanchard, Michael Elgin, Eddie Edwards, Ace Austin, and Trey from the Radicals in a 5-way intergender match. Personally, I would have done a King of the Mountain match, but that's just my personal booking. Anyway, after this was announced, an event, a huge, significant event happened on social media that changed not only Impact Wrestling, but the world of professional wrestling forever. On June 17th, 2020, the hashtag Speaking Out movement began with a ton of wrestlers were called out on their inappropriate and criminal behavior towards women, including Impact wrestlers Michael Elgin, Joey Ryan, and Dave Christ. With these serious allegations, Impact wasted no time with terminating their contracts. So Michael Elgin is gone from the main event. But also, a couple weeks later, Tessa Blanchard is gone. Why is that? Well, Tessa Blanchard and Impact Wrestling's relationship starting to go very sour in the months we're rolling along during this pandemic. In fact, Tessa was going to do some promos for Impact, but for whatever reason, Tessa never made those promos, and with her contract coming up the day after the pay-per-view, well, Impact decided to strip her of the championship and have Trey taking on Ace Austin, Eddie Edwards, and a mystery opponent.
Everybody got that?
But with all that backstory out of the way, let us get into the main event for the vacant Impact World Championship, as it is a full-way as Ace Austin with Madman Fulton, Trey from the Rascals, Eddie Edwards, and a mystery opponent. And who is that mystery opponent going to be? It's Rich Swann, who did say he wanted a world championship shot once his leg healed up. And, well, his leg healed up, so he's got a shot. But then a world-class maniac makes his re-debut. That's right, Eric Young is back. And he made this 4-way into a 5-way. And even though I wish it was a King of a Mountain match, because, come on, the King of a Mountain matches are majority of fun. Seriously, they're always fun to me. But as it stands, this is just a 5-way match. As this was a fun match. It was chaotic, but it needed to be, as every single one of these wrestlers worked perfectly with each other. The chemistry was great, and the action was fun, as you really didn't know who was going to win. Another thing I liked about this match, it set up a storyline that was going to go into the next pay-per-view, i.e. Eric Young and Rich Swann. Overall, I thought this match was fun and exciting as Eddie Edwards wins because of 2-time Impact World Champion. I give this match an 8 out of 10. But what's this? Madman Fulton returns and takes out Eddie Edwards. But then the Good Brothers show up and they take down both Austin and Fulton. And the show ends with the 3 men in the ring, Eddie Edwards, Carl Anderson, and Doc Gallows celebrating with some beers. But then as the show goes off air, we see that hooded man take off his hood, and it reveals to be EC3. And he's looking a bit different these days. So that was my review of Slammiversary 2020. My final thoughts? You know, with everything going against this pay-per-view, you had the global pandemic, which is still going on. You have 3 of your wrestlers, including one that was supposed to be in your main event that evening, Michael Elgin, implicated in the speaking out movement, and you had to fire his ass. And then you had your world champion, Tessa Blanchard, decide to take her ball and go home, or stay at home in this case. All of these spelled disaster, a disaster pay-per-view. But it didn't. Impact soldiered on and not only survived, but thrived. You had a great opening match between the Rascals and Motor City Machine Guns. A surprisingly good tag team title match with Sami Callihan and Ken Shamrock versus the North. You had a really good X Division Championship match with Chris Bay and Willie Mack. Also, you had a great Knockouts championship match between Deanna, Perazzo, and Jordan Grace. A really good main event with a champion that is not everyone's choice, but a good safe pick, and a nice debut and a nice re-debut of Eric Young. So overall, and setting up stories for the next couple episodes of Impact, which is, and it also leads up to the main event of Bound for Glory, which is some really good stuff. So kudos, Impact Wrestling, kudos. It looks like they're actually trying to make themselves to a solid wrestling show, which is all right with me. As, you know, they're not going to be number 1 or number 2 or number 3 for that matter. But if they can be a solid 4 pro wrestling company, I think that would be great for the world of pro wrestling. Anyway, my review for Slammiversary 2020 is an 8 out of 10. Great stuff. I highly recommend it. So that's it for me, Duke CT, here on Last Reviewer Standing. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for Bound for Glory review becoming very soon. Peace and love. I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Later.